Welcome, fans, once again to KB's Unemployed show, the only show on the internet where you can sit at your job and watch a guy who doesn't have one anymore. What will KB do today? Change guitar strings, perhaps? Grade papers? Worry about his future? Who knows? The only thing we know is it's guaranteed to make you question your intelligence, simply because you're watching it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the unemployed lifestyle of KB.
The pods are now open.
Look at my cat. Look at my cat. Look. Look.
I like to say about the world cities and airports.
KB brings just great instincts. That's what you love about him.
Oh, that boy ain't right.
If Andy yearns for Brenda and Brenda cares about Charlene, who pines for Andy, the three of them form one of these. Kara.
What is it, threesome?
No.
Taste the biscuit. Taste the goodness of the biscuit.
Lesbians. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
I don't mind a bit of bush.
37 in a row?
Shut the f*** up, okay? Shut the f*** up.
Do you want to start drinking?
Yes.
You know I'm gonna have to go for 420, Bob.
Cheez-Its! Cheez-Its! Cheez-Its!
Light this candle.
He's right. Let's light this candle.
Light the candle.
Are you ready for it?
That candle is lit, folks. Welcome to KB's Unemployed show, day 60. So it has been 60 days since I've been gainfully employed, or since I was involuntarily separated from my previous gig. We're going to jump right into it today because my guest is a very busy man, and he's got to get to a meeting. So all the stuff, I'll give you my weight loss update, and we'll go through the news and what color is the sky on your planet. But without any further ado, I want to introduce to you a stand-up comic who I started out working with in Chicago, and he went out to Los Angeles, got into movies, wrote movies, a couple of which, one is a Guy Thing, which is a very good movie with Julia Stiles. And the other one is The Godfather of Green Bay, which is a very underrated movie. It's an indie film that he did, and it's very underrated. And if you're Scotty through and through, it is, you know exactly every one of the jokes. So without messing around, let's talk to Pete Schwaba. Pete, how are you doing, my good friend?
I am doing great, Kevin. It is so good to see you, and it's great to be talking to you, dude.
You know, it's been a long time, and we both have glasses now.
These are vanity glasses, and
are they?
They cost $2, but I still think they look pretty cool.
So Pete, man, you're back in the area, and how do you tell me about the journey? Well, I'm going to ask you about the journey from stand-up to Los Angeles first, but everyone does that one. I want to know about your journey from Los Angeles to Marinette. That is the one that I want to know about.
You know what? It was kind of it was like a spur of the moment thing. It was kind of knee jerk. Like, we really liked living in LA. We had a great neighborhood, great schools. And as you know, a lot of your friends are out there. A lot of my friends were out there. Great friends. I was writing on a show called Sports Soup, which is like The Soup, only sports related. So it was like, you know, the only serious TV gig I ever did. And I got to sit in a room with 4 other people who like sports and were funny. It was like a dream job. And we would perform the skits we wrote and pitch stuff. It was just great. So that ended. I had just sold a pitch, and my wife and I were like, you know, the lease was up on this really expensive house we were renting, which was about 1,200 square feet. And we just thought, you know, if we're going to do this and go live by family, because we're in a unique situation where her mom and my parents are in the same town, even though we met after college. So we thought, and we came back here to Marinette, which is where I am now. We would come here at Christmas for like a month, and then in the summer for like a month. And it was just like a little paradise when you're vacationing. No, but so we thought, well, let's do it. Let's go. And we left right before Christmas, and we got back here in 2011. And, you know, it's been great. We live in a nice little area of town right by the water. It's an old Chautauqua reservation, and it's very different than LA.
Stolen land. You're living on
more or
stolen
less.
land.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But we, It's just a great place. Not necessarily Marinette. Marinette's a good place for kids, but so is LA. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, you can't raise kids there or whatever. But this little neighborhood we have, the roads are like 10 feet wide, and it's like tall, beautiful trees right by a pier, and it's a nice little place for us. And now we're empty nesters, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do next. But it was the right move at the time, and it's pretty boring here, Kev. But you know, it's I've had a PBS TV gig for the last few years, so I would get down to Madison once a month and, you know, get some non-fast food and that kind of stuff. So it's been doable, and my wife's a teacher, so we made it work, you know.
Well, we have been empty nesters ourselves going on 13 years, and I can tell you what to expect. Yeah, I can tell you what to expect. Expect that about 70% of your conversations are going to revolve around what you're going to have for dinner. And you're going to get yelled at for not knowing how to load the dishwasher properly. That's coming. In fact, during COVID, I wrote a double album on not loading the dishwasher properly. And no, I kind of like being an empty nester because the way you talk to each other changes when you do. And I guess it's, you don't really, when you get to our age, I guess you really don't, you know, say I love you that much anymore, unless you've just been to the doctor.
Impending bad news, maybe.
Yeah, you don't do that. But the way that my wife and I say I love you is like we'll be watching Dateline, and then she'll look at me and go, "You wouldn't kill me, would you?" No. So that is the new way of saying I love you.
I thought you were headed down the foreplay path with Dateline, but I guess
no.
Kind of rolled differently there, I guess.
So you're back in Marinette doing a PBS show. Talk to me a little bit about that PBS show you're doing once a month.
Yeah, it was a show called Director's Cut, and that's pretty much gone away a few years ago, but we still do a couple episodes a year. We do the Wisconsin Film Festival episode, which is fun, and I talk to filmmakers, and the show was great. It was like I talked to directors of independent films, and then I started also introducing the independent lens and POV movies for PBS, which is that's what keeps me going down there now. So that's a fun gig. I write all the intros and perform them on camera, and yeah, and the radio gig I'm doing, their headquarters are in Madison too, so I can pop in there and check things out, do the show from there occasionally. So it's worked out pretty well. I mean, like I said, you know, it's pretty, Marinette is pretty slow, but that's okay sometimes. You just got to get out once in a while, and that's what Madison allows me to do.
Hey, I grew up north of the wall.
That's right, Anago, right?
Yeah, I'm from Anago, so I know exactly what it's like. Yeah, it is a little bit slower. Tendency when the farther north you get, you see more meth, but that's no big deal if you're not into it.
That like it's a bad thing.
So we started out, Pete, and I think we bumped into each other. We were probably both going back and forth in the big clubs between opener and middle before we both kind of jumped up to headliner. You made the jump from Chicago to LA, whereas I'll be perfectly honest with you, I didn't have the balls to do it, really, to hang it up. I mean, that's a pretty aggressive move. So what was it like getting out there right away, and how did you stumble into the writing gig?
You know, it was sort of weird, Kev, because when we got out there, I had just done the Montreal Comedy Festival and met a few people. And when I got to LA, I was like cast in something like 3 months later. Jim Gaffigan and I were the stars of this VH1 show where I played a VJ and he was the producer. And I was like, this is easy. So the show gets picked up, and then he calls me like 3 weeks later, and I go, "What, is the show canceled already?" And he goes, "Yeah, it is." That was the first thing I ever booked. And I was heartbroken. And Jim's like, "It happens all the time, dude. It's not a big deal." So I sat down and I wrote The Godfather of Green Bay in my sort of depression, and combined my worlds of small towns, and my wife's a teacher and that kind of stuff. And I started writing with Greg Gliana, who was also a Chicago comedian who created the Meet the Parents franchise. And Meet the Parents was just about to come out, and we finished a script together called A Guy Thing and took that out, and it sold too. And I was like, oh my God. Like, so I kind of had two easy things happen within the first couple of years, which can be not a good thing. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden you're spending money you don't have and all that kind of stuff. And luckily we sold some other stuff together and I sold some stuff, but it can be terrifying when you're self-employed and that kind of thing. And it's funny, you said you didn't have the balls to do it. It's not just you, right? Like you probably, by the time I went to LA, you probably already had kids. I didn't. And it was kind of my wife's idea. She's like, well, what are we going to do? We can stay in Chicago. And if so, what are we going to do here? Yeah. And I was like, and she was up for an adventure. And I said, yeah, let's do it. You know, some of my friends or our friends, Paul Gilmartin, Jimmy Pardo had gone out there. And so that helped knowing people. But yeah, it's a big move, but it was a kind of an even bigger move back. But I really enjoyed living there.
Well, yeah, I'm not exactly sure. But the reason I say I didn't have the balls to do it is because I kind of was in between there. I was headlining the clubs in the around the Midwest, and I was ready to go. And my wife and I were not married yet, and I just
still
couldn't
doing it though, right?
Yeah, and I just couldn't pull. You know, I couldn't pull the trigger. I kind of chickened out. Which is kind of funny because now I look back at a lot of these guys that have hit, two in particular. And as you know, kids are humbling. Kids are not impressed with anything that you do, right? And two that hit real big, Frank Caliendo. And he used to open for me.
Yeah, same.
Uh-huh. And the other one, you probably know him as Dan Whitney.
Yeah, sure.
Everybody
knows the Comedy Cafe. He was the one that got me in there. Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, we all know him as Larry the Cable Guy, and he hit pretty big. And then, you know, there are other guys where I'll see him pop up on shows and people that we worked with who ended up being great people. And I remember I took my son backstage to meet Larry, and I was the last one in line, right? I didn't want to go in between all the vets and everything like that. I, didn't. And he's like, hey, how you doing, man? Fine. And my son wasn't really impressed in meeting him as much as he just looked at me and he goes, so what happened to you? They keep you humble. So what happened to you? I had you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I brought you into the world with your mother. That's what happened to me. So when you get out there and you started writing, it's a lot different. Everyone thinks they can write things and or they may have an idea, but you've got to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Right. You can sit down and write all you want, but it's going to get chopped up. It's going to get changed. You're going to work with somebody and they're not always the nicest to do. Is that when you did a Guy Thing? Is that what was that experience a great experience, or did that lead you to wanting to do The Godfather of Green Bay independently?
More so the latter. It was, having Greg as a writing partner was kind of the inspiration behind doing my own film, because I saw what he was able to do when he did his Meet the Parents, which was a $50,000 indie, and he got to do whatever he wanted. And I thought, we showed it to some people, I think The Godfather of Green Bay, and there were some people that really liked it, but they saw it, not as a film Adam Sandler would do. So then they lose interest, or they said, if you get these people attached, we'll do it. And we were like, well, what do we need you for then, this small studio, if we can attach Bill Murray or whatever, So, but I did want to do it independently, because going through the process with A Guy Thing was sort of, you'd write something really funny, and if they don't like it, it's not in, you don't have any control ultimately. And I remember some of the most inane notes we got were like, one of the producers said, this had nothing to do with the story, but they said, can the guy who's a cop be like a Chicago Bear and they got to rally together and get him to a game? Like, it was such a moronic, it had nothing to do with the plot. And Greg and I are just sitting there nodding, So, that is why we were working with a producer at the time, and I showed him The Godfather of Green Bay. His name's Brian Edding, and he goes, this is great. He goes, I'll do this with you. And he was just an LA kid, and he came to the Midwest with me, and we got it done, and for pretty cheap. Got the Bodines to do the music, and Kurt Newman of the Bodines, and got Tony Goldwyn and Lauren Holly and Tom Lennon, Lance Barber, a couple great guys from Milwaukee, and Eric Price, Rob Martin, Mark Borchardt. You know, we really.
I know. I mean, I know all those guys, and as I went,
talent.
As I went and was looking at the cast in The Godfather of Green Bay, I kind of harkened back to what my son had said to me was what happened to me. No.
Hey, I got a funny story for you. You mentioned Dan Whitney. Okay. So Whitney was great. He got me into the Comedy Cafe, which was maybe my favorite club I ever worked. Back in
it's
the
the
day.
35th anniversary, by the way.
I know. It was a hot room, and he and then he got me into some clubs in Florida. He was a great guy. I went out to Pheasant Run with him. He was staying with my wife and I in our apartment.
It was a long haul.
It was. And he has this construction, like this play construction hat, Kev, and he goes, "Hey, I'm doing this new character. Let me know what you think." He goes up on stage in the helmet and he goes, "Hey, you order cable?" And that was it. That was the germ of Larry the Cable Guy. And he comes off and he did a couple minutes on it. And he goes, "So what'd you think?" I was like, eh. And next, like within a year, he's selling out. He's got you and your son waiting in line to, you know what I mean? It was just so crazy. It shows you what I know.
Well, exactly, because I had Jimmy Dore on last week, and we were talking about stuff, and Dan Whitney's name came up. I told the exact same story of what happened to me. This just goes to show you how cynical comics are, because Dan called me and he goes, "Hey, you're doing radio now, huh?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I've been doing this character, calling these radio stations around the South, this Larry the Cable Guy character." And he goes, "It's kind of catching on, you know." And I just like, "Get her done," you know. And I did the same expression. I'm on the phone going, "Yeah, I'm going there." You know, I didn't know he's pulling $500,000 a night. And he goes, "Well, I was with Billy Gardell one time, and this is one of the funniest things." He goes, "Hey, let's call Whitney." So he go, "Okay." And so he picks up the phone and he calls Dan, and he goes, "Hey, Dan, it's Gardell. I don't need money." And but Dan, I mean, Dan he's one of the best, and I can, you know, I'll still reach out and text him every once in a while. Dan had an obsession, if you recall, with his calves. He wanted to. He was always. Do you remember that?
Kind of, yeah. He had a lot of quirks that were really funny.
He had to go work out all the time, and he was working. He wanted the horseshoe on the back of his legs. He had to work out with the calves, right? And constantly, and you can. The last time I saw him, we were laughing about his calves again, and he goes, I'm sitting there watching a Nebraska football game.
Oh, yeah, he loved Nebraska.
And he's wearing shorts, and he's standing there. And I just texted him, and I said, "Dude, you got to turn around. I couldn't see your calves." And then I would, like, he was doing an Ozempic commercial, not Ozempic, Prilosec or something like that. And he was in his shorts again. And I zoomed in, took a picture, and his calves were looking good. But he was just obsessed with his calves. Now, when I promoted you yesterday, I said not only were you a very great comic, but and one of the bits that I remember of yours, and I credit you. It's funny because Jimmy Dore says he always tells somebody some of my bits. I tell people one of yours, and yours was the. Can you imagine what it was like when the village people didn't know they were gay? And they show up, they didn't know each other were gay, and they show up for rehearsal. It's like, "You're gay? I'm gay. The Indian is gay." Who would have thought? But that's one of the, so not only very funny comic, but you had the foresight and the genius of writing the script, Godfather of Green Bay, and working in a makeout scene with Lauren Holly. God bless you. How did she take that at the table read?
She was great. She was so amazing through the whole. She kept teasing me and saying stuff like, "I'm not doing this topless. I'm not doing this topless." And I never asked her to. So I was like, Well, I wasn't going to ask you to until you kept joking about. But no, she was so just unaffected. She had already done Dumb and Dumber and Picket Fences, and she was married to Jim Carrey, and she had just adopted some kids. And I think The Godfather of Green Bay was like kind of her first venture back into working. And she had a great attitude. And I went up to her on the first day, and she was just looking over her script. It was the scene was in a bar, and I said, "Do you have any questions about your character?" And she said, she goes, "No." She goes, I get this. I grew up in a small town in upstate New York. I know who this is. And she just crushed it, whereas Tony Goldwyn grew up in Brentwood, and he was like really on me, like, "Hey, how's the accent sound?" And, we got him last minute, and I think he did the best he could with the accent. It was okay, but he's such a good actor. It's weird after a take when you have Lauren Holly and Tony Goldwyn saying, "How was that?" And I'm like, I just tricked you guys to come into my hometown. You're asking me? I'm like making an independent film here, but they were both consummate pros. And Lauren, we had from the get-go, she was outstanding.
Well, I know you've got to get going, Pete, because you've got another meeting, and we have to do this at greater length in the future. But before you go, I always do a thing in the show called my top 5. Yeah. Right. And I come up with my top 5 favorites of, sometimes odd things. I had like my top 5 favorite inspirations when in the 70s, teenage boys inspirations in the 70s, with your Adrienne Barbeau, and Barbie Benton. But this one, this one I'm going to do is kind of because it's right up your alley with The Godfather of Green Bay. It's a funny movie. Where is it streaming now? Is it on any of the platforms?
It's on Amazon Prime and Tubi, and I think probably a couple other, but I know it's on those 2 for sure.
Okay. And it's really one of those movies. It's an independent movie that's kind of underrated. And it is very funny, especially if you're from Wisconsin. And so what I do is these are my top 5 favorite movies that many people have not seen. Okay. A lot of people have not seen. It's funny that you mentioned Mark Borchardt, because coming in at number 5 is American Movie.
Okay.
Which is hysterical.
Oh yeah.
And my wife and I used to throw a party at Christmas, and I got to know him, and it was a great melting pot of people. It was everyone from TV personalities to friends to radio people. And Borchardt and Shank came over. And so there were people there freaking out. They couldn't believe that the guys from American Movie were sitting in my living room. Neither could my wife. And then about 3:30 in the morning, they go, "Hey, can you pack some of this food up for us?" I was amazed. I thought it was great.
That's great.
Yeah, she was not as amused. Mark's dried out. He's not drinking anymore. So
he's such a great guy.
He is. He is a super guy. Coming in at number 4 is a movie with
great film.
Hard 8, which is Gwyneth Paltrow, John C. Reilly when he was young, and the librarian from Seinfeld.
Philip Baker Hall. Yeah,
Philip Baker Hall.
Outstanding movie. Paul Thomas Anderson's first feature, I believe.
Yeah, it is so good. It is so well written. And if you like gambling, and if you like hard luck stories, and you like, those love comedies that hard luck love comedies and things, it's absolutely an unbelievable movie. Number 3 is one that probably there's a few guys that they call it the alcoholic, the Citizen Kane of alcoholic clown
pull
movie.
This up on IMDb now. That's right.
Tom Kenny is the evil clown. It's Bobcat, and then Tom Kenny, who's the evil clown. And then everybody, there's a lot of people in there. There's a scene in the beginning where the opening scene is Bobcat Goldthwait was out drinking and picked up Florence Henderson. And he's passed out. He's passed out on his bathroom, and he wakes up, and she's on the couch, and she's just got all over her face, just red grease.
I gotta watch that again.
God, it's so good. Number 2, this is the last 2 are dramas, though. Number 2 is probably the only Adam Sandler movie I really like, and that is Reign Over Me.
Oh, Reign Over Me. I haven't seen that.
Oh, it is so good. He plays a guy. He's a guy who is a dentist, and he loses his family 9/11. Loses his kids, his wife. They all get killed in 9/11.
Oh,
yeah. Who does a joke about that? Oh, I lost my dad at 9/11. Oh, really? Was he in the tower? Nah, heart attack. But, no, but he plays a guy that loses his whole family, and then Don Cheadle was his college roommate, and they're both in bad parts of their life, but Don Cheadle's looks really, good, and it's not, and then his is really bad, and it stays that way. But I saw that, and I'm not a big Sandler fan, and I saw that, I'm like, holy shit, can this guy act? And he is really good. If you get a chance to watch it, it'll be jaw-dropping. And then the last one, this goes way back. It's a David Mamet.
Oh yeah,
House of Games.
Joe Montana and
Lindsay Krause.
Lindsay Krause, yes.
And
she gives him her ATM card, right? At one point, he acts like he's getting hauled away, and he's like, "Oh, if only like they were gonna fall in love," and she totally bought it.
It's this double thing where you don't know who's evil, who's good, who's making who, and it's all about the inside confidence games. So those would be my top 5. When we have you on again, and hopefully you will agree to do this, you can bring 5 of them along, and we'll dive deeper into some more stories, because I like to, stretch my legs a little bit when I do this. But I know you're a very busy man.
Well, I have an interview for my own radio show that I've scheduled with a film critic who is out west, and she has limitations. So, but dude, I would love to come back. I live to talk movie lists and all that kind of stuff, and I just made a list here while we were talking. So, you tell me when, and I'm back.
All right.
This is really fun, and anytime, man, you name it.
Well, I mean, I got involuntarily separated from the radio show that I was at, and they came in and they shut the whole station down. Just went boom. We're not doing that anymore. And my partner Drew and I were number 1 in the market. They said, "Nah, we don't care." I go, we're going this way. So corporate greed.
Tell Drew I said hello. You guys were great together, man. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. I will definitely do that. And you can go do your interview. I cut you. I went 2 minutes long. No, I apologize for that, Pete.
Dude, but I am honored that you asked, and let's hang out in person one of these times. No, I
want to make a run up to Marinette.
I'm around all day. When you first called me, I thought, when you first called me, I hear from all these people because now they got legal weed in Menominee. I'm like, oh, that's coming through Marinette, because that's what I hear from people now. But I was thrilled that you called and just wanted to touch base. So let's do it again.
All right, sounds good, Pete.
Okay, buddy.
Thanks a lot. And I'm gonna show a little clip from The Godfather.
A snowstorm take people's lives. It's not like the snow all falls at once.
My cousin died in a snowstorm.
Isn't that something? My name is Joe Keegan. When I first got to LA, everybody said I was the next big thing.
We all thought that you were the guy that was going to have his own sitcom in no time.
I just got us an audition for The Tonight Show.
Where is this place?
It's in Wisconsin.
I'm Joe Keegan.
Joe Keegan?
So good to see you. You too.
She is gorgeous, isn't she? Well, teachers in my school had pantsuits with big knuckles.
Who is this guy?
He's his ape we put in business up there in Green Bay, and now he's skimming money from us. Calls himself the Godfather of Green Bay. What's up, I'm Doc? So, DUG, gotta have a hook, right?
So how's that buckshot Egan's doing, man?
They got a new special. It's called the Spag-omelet. It's like half spaghetti, half omelet. It's awesome.
Rocktoberfest is officially underway!
He's like the biggest drug dealer in the entire state.
What?
Oh, yeah, he's the Godfather of Green Bay. He's a bad guy.
I know there's a big game this weekend.
They suck!
Oh, come on! I'm kidding! What if it isn't the prettiest girl in Pine Lake? And Janice.
I date drug dealers, and I get drunk with former students.
Cool.
We have a big Packerland welcome to the president of the Gay Bear Fans of America Society, Mr. Joe Keegan. You guys are together? No offense, you have beautiful breasts. And your girlfriend's good looking too. You can't go before you see me dance. Dale
This is the place for auditioning for Harvey Score. Are you nuts?
It's gonna be fun.
And there you go, Godfather of Green Bay, Pete Schwaba. Thank him for coming on. But we will have him on sometime in the future when we can stretch our legs a little bit. And he's a funny guy. And it was so many nights of us, working together or hanging out in the back of rooms on open mic nights. And maybe I'll get a couple of those guys in there and we'll tell back of the room stories, because that is something that a lot of people are not privy to. If you think that the comics are funny on stage, they are even funnier off stage, because they're more vicious, more backbiting, and they're just some of the funniest stuff that you will ever hear never makes it up on the stage behind the microphone. And we'll get some of those guys in as well. But I had to do the show a little bit backwards today because Pete had to go. He's got real people that he knows that come on his show. Well, Pete is a real guy, but I'm working at assembling some more interviews to hopefully beef this thing up. But he's got a producer, right? So I'm still getting used to this. But next week we're going to have some people coming up. I'm working on right now. I may have a news person who's going to help me with the news, who's going to sit in. A young woman who I taught at Marquette is interested. So she may sit in and do a couple of newscasts next week, or she may not. Who knows? They're college kids. You don't know anything. You don't know where they're coming from, where you don't know where they're going. So who knows? Because I certainly don't. But anyway, so that gets us to we're going to do a little bit of news and a little bit of what color is the sky on your planet before I shut this thing down. Now, first of all, my weight update. I have to tell you, I don't have to apologize, but as I said, doing this day to day makes you accountable as you share this, and so it puts pressure on yourself. I started at 217.8, and yesterday I was at 217.3. So I'm feeling good, dropping a half a pound a day. But then I get on the scale today, 217.1. So I only lost 0.2 of a pound in the last day, but I'm going to attribute that to the fact that I had 2 mumblers last night, and alcohol will slow down your metabolism. That, or the fact that I had did the whole show yesterday, which I will not do again, while consuming a 25 milligrams CBD beverage. That's not happening again. But I'm not on the air. I can try things, right? So those are the two things that probably influenced and restricted my weight loss. But 217.1, the goal weight is to get down to 200. If I can do that, maybe I'll push to 190. Who knows? So here we go. I'm going to give you a few updates, and as I like to do with the news. So we move the news back. There we go. Today's headlines on the news. Right. There has been an update. I'm starting to dive into this whole Nancy Guthrie thing. It's getting stranger and stranger by the minute. And we're all turning into detectives now. All we have to do is go turn on Nancy Grace or Court TV or something like that, and then we figure we've got it figured out. As I mentioned yesterday, there was a possible ransom note or notes referring to Nancy Guthrie's abduction, and they were sent to at least one local news outlet. Now we're finding out that there are people that are trolling and sending ransom notes. The FBI is analyzing the authenticity, treating them as leads, but now we're finding out that It's people that are just trying to mess things up. And I don't know why people would have to do that. But when I saw a picture of the guy who would have been her son-in-law, and he was the last person to see her alive when he dropped her off at the house at 9:45 on Saturday. They discovered her missing the next morning. Now, they said that they got a call from someone at church who said that she didn't show up, and that was the trigger. However, what we're learning is she hasn't gone to church and watches church on TV, which I highly recommend, by the way. When it was really cold that one weekend, was it last weekend? It was super cold. Oh yeah, Sue and I did TV church. You sit back and you watch a little church and have a cocktail, maybe nosh on some nachos, something. But they have towed a vehicle connected to the family members and are focusing on people who knew Nancy and the family. Specifically her son-in-law, Tommaso Cioni. So when I saw the picture of the guy, I was kind of like, of course you do what the average person does and you jump to conclusions. But you kind of jump to conclusions when you see this. But I was thinking about this, and if it is a ransom and it's a kidnapping and you're in the family, that might be the dumbest thing ever. Because let's say, you ask for $2.5 million, and let's say they pay it, but you're in the family. Christmas rolls around and everybody is getting really good gifts all of a sudden. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't, you have to take off, man. You got to go on the lam. You got to take the money and get the hell out of Dodge, because you can't sit around and try and cover it because you get too much money. People are going to go, where'd you get all the money from? So if it is somebody in the family and they are doing it for ransom money, they're fucking idiots. Here we go. A 30-year-old man named Yanis Reyna in Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville, of course, where the city motto is, how are those first few bites tasting? He was arrested for felony retail theft for stealing nearly $4,000 worth of meat from two Publix stores in Florida. The first theft occurred when he took approximately $1,500 worth of beef and lamb from a Publix. I don't know how you're getting that out, although I've seen the price of beef lately and it's insane. So maybe it was not that much. But then 20 minutes later, he went to the other Publix and stole about $2,000 worth of pork, top sirloin, brisket, and tenderloin. Okay. Now, he did it because he was going to go home with all the meat to the house where the woman he was living with, and stock the freezer. However, upon arriving at home, he found her cooking with another man, not having sex. They were cooking. He got all this meat. They're cooking together. So she was cheating on him with another cook. He, in anger, he tossed all the stolen meat away. He was arrested. He was turned in by his girlfriend, who's got a new guy, and he was arrested and held on a $5,000 bond. So stealing the meat. Here's a cautionary tale coming out for Costco lovers, of which I am one. As I mentioned, I did a whole thing on Costco yesterday, talking about the rules of Costco. And here's a cautionary tale for you people and Costco lovers. Make sure that you always have your receipt when you go to Costco, because a mom and a TikTok creator by the name of Molly, who lost her receipt in the store. Now, what had happened was she had checked out. She had a baby with her. went over to the food court. They call it a food court. There's only like 6 items. So it's not really a court per se, but I'm telling you, the $1.57 for the hot dog and the 20-ounce soda, there is not a better value in the world. And if you ever notice, every once in a while when prices go up, the CEO of Costco always has to come out and say, but we're not raising the price of the hot dog and the drink. Because it is. I mean, that is the best value in the world. Sam's Club, I have a Costco and then I have a Sam's Club. And I don't go to Sam's Club very often, but Sam's Club has basically copied the Costco food court model. They undercut them on the price of the hot dog and the soda. It's $1.39 at Sam's Club, but the hot dog is much smaller, much smaller, and it is not a good value. But anyway, she went to eat at the food court, and you know how sometimes she's got a baby in the cart, and what you do is you got to throw the kids something to occupy their time, right? So she was letting the kid play with her purse, and he was tearing up all these pieces of paper, and she scraped them up and she threw them out, and then went with her cart full of everything and went to exit, and then gave the receipt to have them check everything in the cart. And they said, no, this is the receipt from the pizza. And she did not, and she had thrown out, the baby had torn up the receipt for Costco, torn it up. She had thrown it out in the garbage, was not going to put it back together. And she was saying, hey, can you, I had the receipt, my baby tore it up. Boom. No, they weren't having any of it. They took her back and held her. They detained her in the Costco security office. I didn't even know there was a Costco security office, but there probably has to be. But the situation was finally resolved. And remember this is the cautionary tale. When she provided her membership card, and then the manager looked up the number on the membership card, was able to print a receipt from the system and allowed her to leave. Their official explanation was it's the most effective method of maintaining accuracy and inventory control. And it said no receipt means no leaving. And it doesn't matter how much you're there, whatever status you are. If you don't have a receipt, you are not getting out of there. Now, I did learn this from the article and I only work with the app. I don't even have a card. I use the app. If I don't have my phone, I'm not getting in. Right? But you can sign in and you can get all your digital receipts. So that is a very, very good thing. So that is the news. Like I said, I planned on having Pete on a little bit longer. So this show is probably it's going to cut out a little bit quicker, but that's fine. You guys got things to do, places to go, people to see. And this story is amazing. And it's, what color is the sky on your planet? This happened to a woman who she wrote to an advice column about her 30th birthday party being ruined by her oldest friend, whom she now wants out of her life. And this has step 9 written all over it. And for those of you who don't know what step 9 is, that is the 9th step of the 12-step program, where you are required to go apologize to everyone who you offended when you were drinking, which is exactly the reason I'm not going in to the 12-step program, because I don't have that much time in my life to go around and make the apologies. If I could skip from 8 to 10, I would probably shut her down, but I can't. I got to go through 9. Not going to happen. Anyway, the friend arrived already drunk and made the night chaotic and turned the celebration into a spectacle. So she shows up bulletproof, Now, I love it. She started, they didn't say how old she was other than she must have been 37 or 38, somewhere in there. So she shows up hammered drunk, gets there, and starts grinding on family members, dancing and grinding on family members and guests, including the brother of the birthday girl, the brother's best friend. And I'm sure he didn't mind. The brother probably was kind of like freaked out, but if his sister wasn't there and his family wasn't there, I'm sure he would have been fine with it. Her brother's best friend and the woman's grandfather. So she hopped on his lap and started grinding the grandfather, who, this is what it says, who was reportedly horrified and disgusted. And I'm going to call bullshit up. Papa was loving it. He's not getting it anymore. I'm sorry. Papa was loving it, but he had to feign being disgusted by it. Then she went up and just hammered drunk, told the girl's parents, the birthday girl, told the parents she had always hated them, called them stuck up and annoying. Then started throwing cake and spraying champagne everywhere, which nearly started fights between her and the guests. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse. So she's done a lapper for Papa, told the girl's parents she hates them, throws cake and sprays champagne. The night continued where she moved on and had sex with 3 different men in the ladies' room. So she was confronted. Now, I can say this. I've never had sex, nor would I ever have sex in a ladies' room. However, there were members of, on my wedding day, there were members of the wedding party who were not, I guess you could say, connected in any sort of way, except they connected in a certain type of way in the limo at some point during the evening. But that's an entirely different story. But the friend confronted her later, and was going to, asked her to leave. But the drunk friend defended her behavior, saying she was just trying to lighten the mood. It's a boring party that desperately needed some life. And then said, I'm sorry if you didn't have a good time. It's like, what the hell? I mean, yeah, we got to, what would really liven up this party? It's like, you don't go to the DJ, and get him to put Uptown Funk on. It's like, we got to get better dance music. Now, what could pick this party up? Oh, I know. I'm going to go bang 3 guys in the bathroom. Are you kidding me? The birthday girl and her family, rightfully so, viewed the action as selfish, embarrassing, and over the line, really. And they are no longer friends. So, like I said, yeah, it's a short show today because I was counting on Pete for a little bit longer, but we're going to have Pete back on because he's got great stories about screenwriting, how he got into screenwriting. And he's just an all-around great guy. Next week, hopefully I'll be able to bring on a news person because I'm sitting here and and if any of you want to, like I said, if you want to co-host a show, all you have to do is go to drewandkb.com, or if you want to be a guest, because you don't have to be a celebrity, you just have to be a guy. Or you don't even have to be a guy. You can be a female. You can be whomever you want. And just come on. If you ever wanted to do a TV show or a radio show or a YouTube show that nobody really sees, although it's getting better. And I want to thank you guys for spreading the word. And as you can see scrolling below, share that with people. If subscribe to KP's Unemployed show on YouTube channel. For more KB fun, or not. It was just a thought. Just go to drewandkb.com, sign up. I'm going to put a newsletter together because there's people that are signed up. I'm going to put an email out next week, and that hop in. And I know that Ben and the 414 did it and had a pretty nice time. Talked Legos and youth hockey and whatever you want to talk about. So if you do, just go to drewandkb.com, drop a request in the contact line, and we'll get something set up for you. But I thank you for stopping by. Like I said, it's a short show today, but that's fine. I'm okay with that because I can move on to other things. So I will be back on Tuesday. And until that time, as I always say, make good choices.